My name is Aaron Stauffer, and I'm a member of the Presbyterian Church, USA. I grew up Episcopalian, and then when I was 13, and when I moved to a small church in rural Kansas, southern rural Kansas, I was confirmed in the Presbyterian Church. I went to college at a Lutheran school, and then now I'm a seminarian in Union Theological Seminary in New York City. So my life has been fairly ecumenical. I feel like the Episcopalian Church has grounded me in a deep sense of ritual, and the Presbyterian Church has given me an even greater sense of the Reformed tradition and the value of knowledge and wisdom in the Christian tradition. So my religious identity and its meaning for me today is really founded on that deep sense of ritual that can be sort of left out of the Protestant church, sometimes referred to as the frozen chosen. And then there is also this deep desire and searching for wisdom. A lot of the work that I do at Union and also with the World Student Christian Federation involves encountering the religious other. Those are simply captured by this idea that our assessments, our assumptions of those around us encapsulate them. We know somebody's story before we even begin to sort of enter into conversation with us. The blatant truth of it is that no one is the absolute of a stereotype. There's always a certain amount of excess that leaks out of our stereotypes and allows us to really get to know the true pure sort of dynamism and sort of ambiguity that is the human self. So that's sort of my experience of it. Oftentimes when I do interfaith work, you sort of come into those jarring moments when people recognize different sort of aspects of their deep traditions that do provide for the differences between faiths. And so though we do have a sense of the human ambiguity of itself and that it's sort of its inability to be encapsulated within a stereotype, we also come into contact with deep, rigid traditions that provide a deep sense of worth and dignity to individuals. So there's that sort of dividing line or that sort of interplay between who we are, that sort of ambiguity of the self, while also understanding that culture and history provides us with schools and traditions and sort of ways of life that really provide us with avenues and currents in which to interact with the world. The interfaith movement is often underestimated, primarily because of the position of faith and religion, and also religious institutions in America today. Religion and for the Protestant church, one of the first things that Tocqueville wrote about was the power of the civic sector in early American democracy. And when we begin to analyze and look at American society today, we recognize how far the civic sector has fallen in comparison to the other sort of realms of society. That's the market and the business sector. The interfaith movement is the first step into reestablishing the true worth and power of the civic sector and having institutions that really care about people's anxieties and worries and problems and troubles. What other institutions are there to really to care for people, to protect them? The interfaith movement has a deep responsibility to build up those institutions that protect the least of these, that protect ourselves, because we all have a stake in this fight to really build the best and deepest harmonious community. The religious traditions and the interfaith movement also provides us a deep sense of truth and honesty in which to critique the structures of society that have wreaked so much violence and so much hurt on people's lives around the world. I think we see that in understanding the multiplicity of poverty, how oftentimes the dispossessed have been pivoted against each other. If we look at sort of issues of race and sexuality, we understand that oftentimes in American history we see how the poor whites are pitted against poor blacks. That We see that recently in the Voting Acts bill. So the interfaith movement provides us with a sense to really bring people together across these divisions which have been imposed upon us to instill the status quo and keep things the way they are, which is wrecking and hurting many people. If I had the floor of the World Assembly, what would I say to the religious leaders? I think one is definitely understanding the deep sense of power that they have, their responsibility to others, and how they got there. Who their responsibility is to is of the utmost importance. To act honestly and bravely in the face of power. And then also to have the strength to have new leadership come up that is heretofore unseen, and to really allow the strength of those from the underside to really lead us into the new beginnings that we face. Those of us who are usually at the position of power in society have a deep responsibility to listen. We have to all understand our place at the table, and even if mine is a place of sort of cleaning up the table, taking minutes during the meetings, those are the things that I can do that really allow us to restructure our society in a way that sort of embodies already that community that we want to create. So that's what I would stress about.